Hey, everybody, really excited for this guest and topic today. We talk about the disruptive change that AI is making in telecom and much more with an innovator in the field at Optiva. Michele, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Even.
Well, thanks for joining.
I'm glad to
Would
be
be great
here.
if I'm glad to have you. You guys do a really interesting work. Maybe introduce that yourself, but also who is Optiva and what's the genesis of the company over the years?
Yeah, let me do that. Well, first of all, about myself, I've been now more than 30 years in this industry. You can call it the telco software industry. So from day one in
Mm,
my career, I've always been focusing in selling software to telcos. If you know about telcos, maybe
hmm
OSS or BSS, different solutions. It's been fun, and I've seen a lot of things evolve in that industry, and of course, I'll tell you all about it. But about Optiva, Optiva is actually been in the market selling to operators, billing and charging solutions since '99. It has evolved. And it has acquired different assets. In 2014, actually, the BSS assets from Nokia Siemens at the time. And again, has been in the market selling worldwide successfully BSS solutions, billing and charging solutions.
Yes, fantastic. I go back 25 years in telecom, so you have me beat by a few years. But now is definitely the most exciting time in the industry. AI is going everywhere right now. How are you seeing the shift from, the lab and speculative use cases to really practical, results-driven applications?
Yeah, well, let me tell you what I see in the industry first. The telco industry is exciting, but I must say it's not going through the best of times, right?
Mm,
I think they missed a few opportunities in the last decades, being one, of course, the OTT wave and having some serious return on the, if you will, the internet revolution. But more recently, what they have done, rightly so, is to uh, invest quite a lot in their infrastructure and getting new technology deployed as 5G, more specifically. And that cost them quite a lot of investment and money and resources, but without necessarily a great return, right? So the
mm,
cost went up while the revenue, and nobody realizes that, but 5G has been seamless in terms of price, meaning as a user, I don't think you've seen anywhere in the world a premium price for 5G. So
mm.
for the telcos, that has been a problem because the investment was between the licenses and the infrastructure has been enormous, and it has not finished, by the way. Um, while there hasn't been a lot of return, so definitely the margins have been going down, and sometimes even the overall revenue. So there is a little bit of a challenge in the industry on trying to do two things. Increase revenue once on one side and decrease cost as much as possible, of course, to increase profitability overall. That has not been easy, but again, maybe AI can come to the rescue. There's been already a strong adoption of the cloud, and that has helped somehow, for sure, in the efficiency and agility. But the AI side could really contribute. I believe in that. I mean, AI will contribute in so many ways in so many industries, but telco for sure can take advantage of that. Of course, to adopt AI and make it really work is not just about the technology. There needs a mindset change, and that will need to happen. but the reason why AI in general has been successful in the last few years, neural networks were there 30 years ago. I actually started in software development, and I can tell you, I was building neural networks 30 years ago. The problem is that at the time, there were two things missing. One is the data, in terms of quality of data on one side, and then the amount of data that is available today, and the computing capability to actually teach to those systems. As you know, they're really in need of a lot of compute resources, right? I mean, all the AI companies are building their own nuclear plants right now to to make sure that they can keep up with the energy consumption of the systems. But in any case, so AI is booming at this time because of that. And of course, again, telcos are there to reap the benefits. And of course, as we were saying, they need to get both sides of the coin. One from a revenue perspective, and the other one from a cost perspective. Now, from a revenue point of view, and that, sorry, I just made a lot of
No,
conversation,
please. It's
but going
fascinating.
back to your specific question, where do I see the actual benefits in practice? And from a revenue point of view, there is the capability to bring new services to bear, specifically in the AI space, meaning I've seen a lot of telcos stepping up and providing sovereign AI to the countries they're in, right? Because also, the usual data privacy and data issues and so on. So they are selling to the public sector or even enterprises that want their own AI in their own country. And telcos are very credible in that space. They are usually a trusted partner, a technology partner. So that definitely is a potential new service that they can sell, and I see a lot of infrastructure being built in that sense. But specifically on the revenue side, what AI brings is the capability to do personalized services, right? I mean, with the right information in real time, AI could have an engagement with an individual, offering specific services, and either kind of services that are more adaptable to the behavior of this person, or commercially being capable of understanding the person, so that they can really engage and offer something that more than likely that individual would buy, and then being overall efficient in sales and marketing. And on top of that, provide dynamic pricing. And that's where things, at Optiva, in that particular area, we do two things. One, we have the so-called AI agents that can help. So that kind of interaction that I was talking about, where you can personalize offers, or just being efficient in a conversation with customers, but also bring dynamic pricing that can personalize on the spot, or even during the service lifecycle pricing for the customers. And that has to be attractive for the individuals. So whoever in the telco space will be the first ones to be so focused in terms of understanding the customer behavior and needs, and engage at the right time, would get a lot of market share and more out of the competitors. So in that sense, what I see is not necessarily a lot of new services can be enabled from AI, at least at the moment. The good thing about AI, good or bad thing about AI, is for now we're pretty much telling AI what to do, right? And focus, let's say, the intent of AI in areas where we think we can have an improvement, again, in revenue or efficiency and so on. But at some point, the idea is that there's going to be self-improvement from an AI perspective, so that AI itself will understand what to do on an efficiency point of view, or on a services point of view, or in general helping enterprises as an advisor, if you will, on things that we can't imagine right now could be fruitful. So that's the future, but it's not very far off. The future, we're talking about a few years. AI is evolving so rapidly and learning so rapidly that it will become more and more intelligent beyond what we can think right now. So it's going to be used right now in areas where we know it could be useful, but at some point there's going to be a direction where AI will tell us what could be new creative ideas to do business in telco and other industries. And then if we go back beyond revenue, cost and efficiency, AI can be applied and is already applied in so many areas in the telco environment. If you think of the concept of autonomous networks, right? That poses its challenges, because on one side, operators have never been good at accepting a release of control, right? So it's going to be gradual, but it is true that AI could be capable of adjusting network and do traffic management and resource management, so on, so that the cost of the infrastructure would drastically decrease without affecting the quality of service.
That would be amazing to see. The challenge I see, as probably you do as well, is that many telcos are notorious for their rigidity and lack of flexibility, often wedded to the way they've done things, given their scale. I mean, millions, tens of hundreds of millions of customers. So what has to change in the transformation of the network or the back office to enable or empower this opportunity, given these entities are often pretty slow to change?
Marketing is a puzzle. You can either give into the confusion or learn to love the solve. On the Axiom's Real Talk About Marketing podcast, guests like Aaron Schaefer of GM share how to manage challenges.
Make sure that you're not fixed in terms of what you're thinking about. The team's going to change, and the way teams operate are going to change. COVID was a great example of that. The industry is going to change. Are cookies going away or not? That was another great example of that. And so how do you continue to evolve as the space evolves?
Guests from HP, The Trade Desk, and Databricks share thoughts on today's marketing landscape. Find Real Talk About Marketing on YouTube, Axiom.com, or wherever you hear podcasts.
Well, first of all, I think the attitude has changed because the situation has changed. Meaning, I don't know, if you go to some of these events, or I talk to customers every day, they are really, I'm not saying desperate, but they are in emergency mode, right?
Okay.
They do understand that right now, if something is not done, cost is going up, revenue is not going up, and the margins will get to a level where something drastic needs to happen, right? So that conservative attitude could change just because of that. But in any case, I believe the AI introduction can be done also gradually to make them comfortable. That's not going to be, necessarily disruptive. And I can understand why. I mean, right now, AI can guarantee a 95 accuracy. Now, 95% accuracy is not good enough for the network.
Mm.
That 5% could disrupt the network in a way that, services could go down and things, telco is usually the most reliable service. You usually have always the availability, except in emergency, of your connectivity and communication services. So that kind of disruption is not acceptable. So that needs to evolve from the AI side. But in any case, the way to gradually introduce it is to have the human in the cycle, right? So that there's more recommendations right now from AI that the human would accept or not, depending on the consequences that they could see. But it is true that sometimes, especially the low-level tasks, which could be really impacting, can be automated without a lot of disruption. But again, it's a gradual, introduction in the network. And also another important thing is really understanding the intent. So what I mean is, if you let AI go and you don't give the right level of intent on what they could do and should do to the network, and they don't have the right targets and objectives, they could go into a direction that is not the right one. And of course, the intent is not always easy to define, right? Of course, it's customer experience, yes, but you can't do the best customer experience without impacting cost or things like that. So there's a lot of variables that need to be tweaked that AI needs to understand before it can be autonomous. So autonomous network it is achievable, but it will take a while before we're going to have a true autonomous network in a telco right now. But it is feasible, and I'm sure it's going to happen.
So, the space you're in is a hugely important one, but, billing and charging and OSS systems really don't get the spotlight. But how critical are they to this transformation and monetizing AI services and driving some of the change that's happening?
Well, in Optiva, we do BSS systems. The BSS systems are the ones that are taking care, let's say, of the billing and charging. But what does it mean? It means having the capability to go to market with the right price, with the right service, and then engage with customers even after the service is instantiated, so that they're happy and they continue to be happy. So that customer interaction and the back end that allows for that happy, let's say, interaction is owned by the BSS systems. And that's where we're bringing innovation with AI, of course, in what I was mentioning before, like, again, true personalization of services, the concept of the segment of one, right? Meaning, usually telcos and any industry, you have your segments that you're targeting, and then you're doing your offers and in terms of products and services according to those segments, and you adapt them. Think if you have the segment of one. So each individual would have its own offer and service because of what you know of the individual. And when you get to that level, you get the right service, the right price, a happy customer that definitely will more than likely buy from you. And funny enough, the data is there, right? and that's an important thing in the billing system, in the BSS systems in general. Of course, for the current customers, you usually have enough information to understand the user's behavior, the tendency of buying, and different things that would allow you to really tailor the service. But of course, if you look at the traditional BSS, very monolithic, very rigid, very, very difficult to change a pricing plan. 6 months. So this is a dream. But if you do adopt technologies, and we have been doing this both several years ago on the cloud side, and now with AI, we always try to be ahead of the curve. You can offer that. So the personalization of services, having an overall efficient sales and marketing interaction. That's another thing. You have this intelligent agents. We have 3, actually now we have more than 3. We have 5, I think. Every day we come up with a different one because it's so exciting, actually, even. But the sales and marketing interaction with customers, when you have an AI agent, again, they know a lot about you and can be very proactive, even in fixing issues, not just being proactive in selling new things, but even just understanding of the issue of the person. And even, again, if you let them take actions, this agentic AI capability, right? So you had 3 kind of steps or stages. You have the normal AI, then you have the Gen AI where you generate content, but then you have the agentic AI where AI now is able to detect problems and actually then do actions themselves autonomously. And that's where we using that. We have the agents that I was talking about, and that it's amazing because, again, conservative attitude would not be conducive for that. But if you let an intelligent agent interact with a customer, they could have conversations both on the selling side or the customer care side that they could be totally autonomous. Actually, there was I was reading Vodafone adopted an intelligent agent in their customer care, and now 70% of the cases are without the human interaction.
Wow.
So you understand on their side, that's how much call centers and so on are heavy on cost. So less customer care and call center cost, and happier customers because things can be solved quickly right there on the spot, right? So and then going back to Optiva, dynamic pricing, we are doing a project called the Catalyst Project. I don't know, in the TM Forum environment, which is one of the major influencer in the industry in terms of OSS and BNSS. So in that project, what we're doing is providing a dynamic pricing capability. This is with the operators like AT&T, STC, and so many others. But the interesting thing is, when you apply AI, you can really apply dynamic pricing that could be, again, useful for the customer, but also useful for the operator, because it could be using resources that are usually dormant. So it's a more efficient use of the infrastructure, and it's a better pricing proposition for the customer. So that's
Yeah, that's amazing.
uh,
I love the work that you do in the TM Forum. There's a big meeting in Copenhagen coming up. I'm sure you
yeah.
guys will be there as well. Unfortunately, I can't make it, but you can't beat Denmark in the summer. But, it is a tough time to be a telco, but it's also a great time to be a telco customer because, there's never
Yes.
more choices, options, pricing is amazing. You're seeing more niche players enter the market. We've always had MVNOs, but the choice variety is amazing. I mean, I have 5 eSIMs, 3 on my iPhone and 2 on my tablet, and wherever I'm traveling around the world, I have different options. How are these new entrants, the niche players, the MVNOs, reshaping the whole competitive dynamic, and what does that mean for your business?
Okay, so basically, what is happening is again, the customer behavior is changing and has already changed. Actually, I mean, we are so used to have everything ready, user friendly, instantly available. With the
Mm.
I don't know, the social media, whatever service you get these days, we're kind of spoiled, right? So telcos are well known again for not being too much proactive on trying to target different needs of the so these MVNOs are filling some gaps, right, in the market. And it is true that for a telco that has millions of subscribers, it's difficult to have, again, always everything available.
Mm.
Going back to the segment of one, it's a really nice vision, but they already have so many plans that it's sometimes even confusing, right, for a customer. These MVNOs or new entrants in general are very focused. They understand their segment and they understand exactly what their segment needs. So they go to market. They're nothing but really a very efficient sales organization. So it is good for the operator to have those MVNOs on their side because they are aggressive in getting new customers. And at the end, yes, the operator might lose some margin, but in return, will get absolutely more subscribers that they would ever get with their own offering. So it is obvious that the MVNO is becoming now a more attractive proposition for the MNOs, for the operators. In the past, they've seen as actually a problem, a challenge, because they could cannibalize against some of the margins. But the good operators that have a vision and especially the challengers, of course, right? The guys that are trying to aggressively increase the number of subscribers. But in general, I've seen it in US, and I could say that T-Mobile is probably the most aggressive one and successful one in that sense, whereby they understand that an MVNO is actually a very aggressive channel to market, that it is good to embrace them or even proactively trying to engage with them. And I see operators now having their own sales teams to trying to get MVNOs, or even in general enterprises, large enterprises that are subscription based, and go to them and say, hey, why don't you add the mobile service on top of your subscription services, and we'll do everything for you. And that I don't know, the Costco of this world in US, it could be millions of subscribers that you get instantly, right? So it is it's an attractive segment. And we understood that. So as Optiva, we focused on both. We focused on the operators, giving them a platform to entice MVNOs, make it easy for them to be onboarded, and then giving them the agility to do everything they need to do with their pricing and go-to-market capability. And then helping directly some of the MVNOs that want to have their own BSS, right? Of course, MVNOs don't have necessarily the network, the radio access network, but some of the most aggressive one want to have the agility to have their own BSS so that they can tweak prices in real time. And of course, the MVNOs, I think the most visionary ones are starting from day one with the AI in mind. Because again, being a very aggressive sales organization, AI is wonderful in helping you out in sales for all the things I've said before.
Fantastic. Well, so much opportunity ahead. I wish we had more time, but I'm sure I'll see you at one of the many industry events, including Mobile World Congress, et cetera.
Yeah.
What are you up to this summer, over the next few weeks, months, as we head into June, July, August?
Well, again, the TM Forum event in Copenhagen for sure, but I definitely going to enjoy summer here in Italy, and make sure I take some time off. It's been very intense. In Optiva, we really closed some really important deals recently, and that has been intense.
Congratulations.
So yes, you'll see some of the announcements coming out, but very exciting. So taking a couple of weeks of a break, it wouldn't hurt, to tell you the truth.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on all the success and leadership in this space, and onwards and upwards. Good seeing you. Look forward to meeting in person soon. All right.
Same here.
And thanks everyone for listening, watching, and sharing this podcast. And be sure to check out my new show, Tech Impact TV, now on Bloomberg and Fox Business. So beyond the podcast. So take care, everyone. Thanks.